Hi, this is CJ, and this is the second part of the CCSA R75 home lab. Okay, in my last video, which is the first video of the CCSA R75, I built the topology up to this point. So I built the topology up to this point, and now we have to configure the router. Like I said, if you want to bring in the GNS3 into the scene, you can do that. But the reason why I didn't do it is because I wanted to reduce the complexity. I didn't want to involve the host routers, host interfaces. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. As you can see that there are a lot of virtual interfaces. I did not bring any one of these into the scene. This is the team allows me to run this environment in its own space, right? These are all virtual NICs running in a confined space in the team. They're part of the team. They are not outside of the team. So in order to be able to get GNS3 into the picture, what you have to do, you have to replace these NICs. First of all, you will have to create at least one NIC for this particular network, another NIC second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. You have to create 7 virtual NICs in VMware Workstation. They will start showing up here. So you create the NICs, you restart the computer, get back to the desktop. These from VM. I already created 1 through 8. I have renamed these ones. Now these are VirtualBox. I created 1, 2, 3, and 8. Okay, so you need to add 4 more, and then you have to tie these interfaces to the respective cloud, right? In the GNS3, I can show you something here real quick. Okay, so for example, we have 4 NICs here. Okay, let me show you something here real quick. Yeah, let me add the router first, and cloud 1, cloud 2, cloud 3. Okay, so you have to tie these cloud, you have to map these cloud to the respective VMnet adapters. Like what we have here is so for example, VMnet 8. This is done. Okay, and you have to attach the interface to this one. Okay, so this is done. Now this particular VMnet is also being used, or is also will be used for this particular network, the network between the router and the head security gateway, the WAN for the security gateway, the headquarter security gateway, this one. So you have to you may have to make use of the same network interface card like this one while you are let me see if I can open the properties. Yeah, so as you can see here, that the third interface, this one, which is being used for the WAN, this particular, you'll have to replace it with the VMnet. This particular thing, it'll start showing up custom specific virtual network. I hope I am understood, right? It's pretty simple. So VM network will start showing up here, 0 through 8 I believe, or 16, I'm not sure. So you have to select this particular network as opposed to the LAN management, and which is part of the team. Okay, this is in order to be able to incorporate GNS3 into this topology, right? I have not used GNS3, I have strictly used the team, and that's exactly that actually warrants the use of the Microsoft 2003 or 2008 based router, and that's something I'm going to configure in this particular video. In this video I'm going to show you the configuration of the router, the configuration of the branch security gateway, some important CLI commands, the command line interface commands, and I'm going to add the branch security gateway into this SMS server. In the last video, we added the headquarters security gateway to the SMS server. Now, in order to be able to add the branch security gateway, we have to create a couple of rules in the headquarters security gateway so that the traffic from the headquarter can reach the branch, right? The SMS server should be able to communicate with the branch server, and that since it's behind the firewall, as you can see in this topology, right? Yeah, since the SMS server is behind the firewall, so we have to allow the traffic to pass through the firewall in order to be able to reach the branch, right? Like this. It is like a couple of any rule that we have to create. Okay, so without much further ado, let me first configure the router. So this is the router. In the last video, we added the interfaces and we defined the IP addresses to the respective interfaces. So let me show this. So this is the branch WAN, the web, and the headquarter WAN. The branch, the headquarter WAN, and the web. Okay, so we've defined the rules. We have to define the static routes. Windows 2003 server and 2008 server, they are pretty robust in terms of handling the static routes. I mean, you don't want to use it in production, that is another thing. But as far as the lab is concerned, when you have to just test out few devices, I don't see there's any point disregarding the use of Windows 2003 as for the router, right? Because you are actually running the checkpoint topology right now. Checkpoints, so concentration should be based on checkpoint, right? So let me open the routing and remote access, this one. First of all, we have to configure static routes. So just right click on this and click on configure and enable the routing and the remote access. It's going to present you with this wizard. Click on next, select the last one, custom configuration and LAN routing. You don't have to select any one of these, and click finish. This is going to ask you to restart the service or start the service. Click on yes. You're going to see the dial, and it's going to take just 5 seconds. Okay, as you can see that we have a green up arrow, which is a good sign. It seems that the routing services are switched on. Now we have to, this is going to show us the interfaces. As you can see that we have 3 interfaces. I'm just aligning them with and one is the loopback. So HWAN, BWAN, and the web. Okay, all 3 are operational. And now we have to define the static routes, which is pretty simple. Just right click on the static route, click on the new static route. Okay, just like what we do in a Cisco router, we have to do it here, right? If you want to go to the branch network, now I'm going to start from the HWAN. Okay, so if this router wants to go to 192.168.1.0 and 192.168.10.0, then it has to go to this particular interface, 220.2.0, and point to the HWAN. Okay, so destination is 192.168.1.0. network mask is 255.255.255.0. gateway is 220.2.1. 220.2.1, and the interface is this one, right? HWAN. So 192.168.1.0, 220.2.1, and HWAN is the interface, the exit interface, and that's your first rule. Now come to the second rule. Once again, now if you want to reach the DMZ of headquarter, then we have to use 192.168.10.0, as you can see here, 192.168.10.0, and I mask gateway is 192.16. Oh, hold on, sorry, 222.1. Okay, 222.1, and that's all right. That's done. Now the second one. Now this part. This one. Okay, so for this one we have to 192.168.20, 192.168.20. So 223.1. Okay. All right. 192.168.2.0 and 255.255.255.0, 223.1. That's right, 223.1. This is the third route, and 192.168.20.0, 255.255.255.0, 223.1, 223.1. Cool. Just go to the static routes to check if all the routes are in order. 22.1, 1.0 goes to 2.1, 2.0 goes to 3.1, 10.0 goes to 2.1, and 20.0 goes to 3.1. Perfect. We are through with defining the static routes on the router. Let's see if this particular security gateway is able to reach. Now there is no need to define the route for the web because this is directly connected to the router, and since we have defined the default route on the from the security gateway, so it will be able to reach that. Okay, for every traffic, just send it to the router. We have defined the 4 routes on the router. Now we have to go to the branch security gateway. In the last video, I just installed the branch security gateway. I did not configure the additional interfaces. So we'll have to go to the branch PC, log in here, and open the web browser. We have to hit this IP address 192.168.2.254, and it's running on the default HTTPS port. HTTPS colon 192.168.2.1. It should bring up. Okay, what's wrong here? No, this should work irrespective. I have to see. Oops, sorry. The IP address is wrong. 254. Silly me. Okay, good. The ID is admin, and they define the password. Okay, so at this point in time, we are able to log in with the from this computer, but it doesn't mean, and we will be able to log in from other computers on the same network as well. But that does not mean that's going to be the case, always going to be the case, because we have to define which particular computer is able to gain access to the web console of the firewall, right? By default, it's allowed. You cannot ping the firewall. You can you can log into the web console, but you cannot ping the firewall. If I just show you from here, I will not be able to 192.168.1 dot, sorry, 2.254. As you can see that I won't be able to ping the firewall, but I will be able to open the web GUI, right? But we'll have to limit that. We have to restrict the access, and that's going to be a part of this video as well. I'm going to show you how you can do that. Let me just close this thing down. Okay, let's go to network connections. As you can see that we have only defined the Ethernet 0, so we have to define the Ethernet 1 as well. Now come back to this, the branch. The first one is the BLAN, as you can see here, 192.168.2.254. The second one is the BDMZ, this one, ETH1. The third one, the BWAN, the ETH2. So let us configure the ETH1, the DMZ. And the DMZ IP address is 192.168.20.254. Network mask 255.255.255.0. Okay, apply this. Now the third interface is 223.1. 223.1. 255. Oops. 255.255.255. Apply. What happened here? Oh, gave this. 23.1. Perfect. And this is in sync with this one. So I can see that Ethernet 0 is a LAN. So this is a LAN interface. This is the DMZ 192.168.20, and this is the WAN, the third one, ETH0. Okay. And now from this particular, having defined the IP address, we should be able to reach the router. Ping 223.2. As you can see that we are able to ping the router. If you come here and let me just enable all these interfaces real quick. I just love virtualization. Gives you a lot of flexibility to carry out any task, man. See, this particular is receiving the traffic, one packet, and that means that this particular thing is configured now. You can come back here and stop it. Okay, so we have defined the router, we have configured the static routes, we have configured the basic IP settings of security gateway, branch security gateway. The one more thing that we have to define is the default route, the routing. Go back here, and we have to we have three routes, we have three connected routes. We have to define one default route. So the gateway is 200.20.3.2. as you can see here, 223.2, this one. and there is your default route. Perfect. Now if the default route and the router is working fine, then if we switch on the web computer, then this particular security gateway should be able to ping the web. Let me bring this on. Control Alt Insert this one, and okay, network connections. All right, so this particular security gateway is pointing to the router for its communication to the outside world. So let me ping the IP address of the web router. This one, what is the IP address of this computer? 224.1. Let's see if it pings. If it pings, that's awesome. 224.1. It's pinging fine. So what does it tell us? Just hold on a second. I'm sorry, I got a call from someone. Let me put this mobile phone on silent mode. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. So as you can see that the security gateway here is able to ping this computer, the web, and the traffic is going through the router. This web is directly connected to the router, and since the default gateway is pointing to this, so the traffic is going to this. Now let me bring this guy also back online, and this SMS server as well, and the H console as well. In this video I'm gonna talk about the basic rule configuration, and I'm not gonna add the branch or the security I'm sorry, the headquarter and the branch DMZ. That's gonna be part of the next video, but or rather I can just do that. I'll do it, no problem with that. I'm gonna add the branch DMZ as well as the headquarter DMZ in this video itself. Yeah, there's no need for me to create another video for that. I'm gonna show something different. Alright, let's just wait for these guys to just close this thing down for now. One of the more certificate have been created for user mode. If you want to create, yes, that's fine. Okay, so the branch is able to ping the web PC. Let's see if the headquarter is able to ping that. Headquarter is back, so just log into the headquarter and try pinging the same. Ping 224.1. See, so this is also pinging just as fine. So that is a good sign that it is pinging. .1 and 4.1. Cool. I'm gonna stop this video here. I'm gonna stop this ping here rather, and I'm gonna stop this ping here. Now we have to see if this particular security gateway is able to reach this one, right? So let me try pinging that. Headquarter ping 200.20.3.1. I believe the security management would be able to ping it. Let me see. The SMS should be able to ping it. I'm going to show you why. Admin ping 222 dot, no, 3.1. Nope. Oh yeah, it won't be able to ping right now because there's no rule which allows it to ping. But I have to see if the router is working fine. The rules have been defined just about okay. Well, at this point in time, nothing's going to work because there's no rules. Not a problem. Let us first create the rules now, man. But before that, I would like to show you something. The basic commands for the, like I told you, in order to be able to pass this particular exam, you have to make sure that you have, you know, read things about the topics that are covered in the blueprint. For example, identity awareness, one of the most important things, the most important things. Smart view tracker, smart update, and the overview of the smart dashboard. And that, I mean, you have to be well versed with the basics. I mean, where all the menu items are in the smart dashboard, what they are supposed to do. And once you're through with that, it's going to require, and most importantly, the NAT. How can I miss the NAT? VPN. VPN is talked more in the CCSE platform, so you can have a sufficient knowledge. That's okay. That's going to be fine for you. But as far as the NAT goes, NAT is super important. For manual NAT is not as important. I mean, you must know how to configure manual NAT. You must know the nuances of it. But I doubt they're going to ask you questions on the manual NAT in the exam. I doubt. And as far as the CLI goes, you should be able to know at least 50 to 70 commands. That's important, very important. And this is where you can download all these guys. Let me show you this thing. Open the Google first of all. Administrative guide of R75. This is one. And you can also go to checkpoint.com. Checkpoint.com. This is the one. You will get the latest one as well. This is for 175 pages, if I'm not wrong. No, one. This is before the glossary. You do not have to read everything because this contains a lot of things which are not part of the checkpoint CCSA curriculum, but it doesn't hurt to read if you want to gain more information, because in the production network you are expected to know much more than just what is taught in the checkpoint CCSA network. It's just an exam. Now security support supports training and support center. Let me see if we can find it here. Administrative guides R. Let me just type R75 guides. That's better. R75. Yeah, yeah. I got it. Now, as you can see, like I told you in the last video, we have a Gaia R75 for IPSO. No, IPSO is an operating system, the base operating system for Nokia checkpoint. Like Splat or secure platform is the checkpoint itself, and it's open source. Let me see this. R75. Download documentation. Yeah. Yes. So as you can see that you will see a lot of documentation here, right? Upgrade guide, command line into. This is awesome. This is wonderful. Look at this. Download this guide. This is what like I said, you do not have to read the entire thing. You just have to make sure that you are well versed with at least 100 commands. What 100 commands you are supposed to be, well versed in, that is something you have to explore from it. That actually maps with the curriculum of the CCSA R75. This is one of the most important guides that you need to download. Then we have this guide as well. That's very important. QoS is not that much. Splat, you can download this guide as well. What else? You can download this guide. Data loss prevention is not that much. IPS is not that much. Checkpoint. Identity awareness, most definitely, yes. Smart reporter, you can download it. Yep. Installation and upgrade, no, not to R76. Performance pack, you can download this guide just to get some information. Otherwise, there's no need for it for this checkpoint exam, because this is a part of the CCSE curriculum. Upgrading security. What else do we have in here? Smart event, you want to download, then it's okay, and so on, right? You do not have to read all these things cover to cover. Like, you might just be bowled over by the fact that there are 130 pages, 140 pages. Well, it's like, if there's a need to learn something more, then just read this book. Otherwise, it's case by cases, right? So the case by cases. What else? I'm just gonna close. I'm actually gonna save it for my own purpose. I have the older version of these tries. Let me just do it. Okay, let me just close these. I'm gonna save it later. Now I know what to save, what not to. Okay, let's get back to this one. So this is going to be a brief tour of the basics command that you can run on a security gateway. Like, we have plethora of commands to learn, right? We don't have, but I cannot accommodate everything in this particular video. So very basic commands. All the important commands, or like, so for example, we have the config command, the config t in Cisco. Similarly, we have the expert mode. Expert mode. The first time you type the expert mode, the expert, it asks you for a password. The password is the same which you defined, and now it's going to ask you to define the new password. You can keep the same password, not a problem. This allows you to launch system-wide commands, right? So it's like a exit mode and the config mode in Cisco, something like that. Okay, and when you are in the expert mode, you will see the expert written next before the name of the security gateway. So it's expert at h_sg. Okay, and one of the commands which most of these diamond engineers are the people who are working for Checkpoint, and if you are an enterprise engineer, you are required to furnish the TCP dump of an interface. So how are you going to do that? The command for that is TCP dump for I for interface at 0. We have at 1 2 0 1 2, so that's how it's done. Right now you can start pinging it. Now pinging the interface, and then once you're done, you can press Control C. Right, it's going to show you the packets. Let me just try doing that. Hold on a second. From the console, Control C. Let me ping this. I'm going to show you. Ping 192.168.1.254. Continuous ping and see if it shows anything. Let me rerun this command. Request, and then see, as you can see, the echo request is coming in from this particular computer, 192.168.1.2. I'm gonna stop it. 6 packets were sent by the H console. Obviously this particular computer did not receive any reply, because by default the ICMP is disallowed, and that's because of the thing known as the stealth rule. Alright, I'm going to show you how you can create that. Okay, the next command that we have to configure is the next command that we have to configure is fw unload local. Sometimes I hate this, having to click on the this command can be run from the basic mode as well. You don't have to be in expert mode in order to run this command. So what it does is that once you have pushed the policy to the firewall through the from the SMS server, and you lose connectivity to certain things, and then you're not sure if the policy pushed to the security gateway is actually correct, so you can unload that policy by typing this command and hitting enter like this. So at this point in time, we do not have any policy pushed from this SMS server, so there's it's fine. But once we have pushed the policy and some connectivity to is broken, then you can always issue this command, go back to the SMS server, and change certain rules around and then see if you can fix the problem. All right. Okay. The next command is the fwstat. Okay, what does this tell you? It displays the name of the security policy that is installed, right? This actually tells you the name of the security policy that is installed on the SG. So at this point in time, there's no security policy because you just unloaded it, right? The next command is the fw version. This gives you the version of the firewall, right? And in order to be able to check the IP addresses or the configuration of the particular interface, we have to run the same command, which is a Unix based command, ifconfig. And there's a way to scroll here. I'm not able to recall it at the top of my head right now, but I will get back to you on that. So how to scroll up and down in the screen. There's a way to do that in the CLI mode as well. Like we have in the GUI mode, there's a way to do in the CLI mode. Maybe the Unix guy might be able to tell me more on those. Anyway, so as you can see that we have eth2 loopback interfaces with the defined IP addresses. And the next command is the netstat -rn. This is going to show you the routing table. As you can see that we have the default gateway at the end 222.2. Okay, now that is done. And similarly we have the cp commands. I'm going to show you one more command, cp config. Okay, so what this does is that, suppose in the last video I showed you the SIC creation, SI secure internal communication. This is done while you are installing the security gateway. However, if you have messed up with that, or you've forgotten the secure internal create, or you just want to recreate it, so you type cp config and select the 5. I'm not going to choose it right now. You select the number 5 and it's going to prompt you to define a new SIC. Like in the last video we did A, B, C, D, E, and you can define anything because it's only used once. Once it is used, it expires, right? It's not used again. It's like a pre-shared key. Alright, so I'm gonna exit from this interface because I don't want to recreate the SIC. Yes, this because this particular security gateway is already joined to the SMS server, right? So the other commands are cp start, cp restart, and cp stop. Okay, these are to start and the restart services on the gateway. So you have cp start, cp restart, and cp commands. So you have to explore these commands, right? And to shut down the computer, should shut down the firewall. I'm not sure when we're going to shut down the firewall, but if you want to do that, just type the word shutdown. To reboot, it's reboot. And to gain more information about commands, type help. It's going to tell you. Now, once again, I'm not sure how to scroll help shutdown. Try help man k. Try help or man k shutdown on n for shutdown. Help suspend. Yeah. Okay. So you type the name. So you type help and the name of the command, like popd. Yep. First you get the name of the command and you type help, and if you want to get more information, then just type the name of the command after help, and it's going to show you all the options pertaining to that particular help, that command. Okay, now let's add another user. Okay, there's another very important command. You can do it from the basic mode as well. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Add user. I'm gonna add what? Bob. Define the password. I'm going to type the same password. I don't want to forget the password, so the password remains the same. Bob was successfully added. So add user to add the user, and if you want to delete the user, just type delete del user. Oops, del user Bob. Yeah, press and Bob is gone. Okay, and show user is going to show you the users right now. So we have two users here. Postfix. I'm going to tell you why this. What is the use of postfix? And when we have admin. Okay. So much so for the CLI for adding usernames and passwords. Now, if you want to back up the configuration, so how are you going to do that? First of all, you have to go to the expert mode. Expert, type the same password which you define for the expert mode, and now we have to type the command backup -f for file. The name of the file would be backup _config. Are you sure you want to proceed? Note that creating the snapshot can take up to 20 minutes, and all checkpoint products will be stopped and restarted after the snapshot completes. So you want to do this thing in non-production hours, not in the production hours. In our case, it's not going to take that long because we don't have too many rules to back up. It's going to be, yeah, it's done. And it's not, even the production network, it doesn't take 20 minutes. It takes about 2 minutes to 3 minutes. That's it. Depending on the speed of the firewall and the memory. And in order to be able to view this thing, you just have to type, you have to go to this directory, cp oops, case sensitive, cp backup backups ls. That's the name of the file, right? So the backups are stored in the cp backups checkpoint backup under backup directory, and the name of the file is this. Okay, don't ask me the meaning of ls because I don't know. I don't know how to tell you this thing. It's the directory command for the Unix. Okay, and how you can go about restoring the backup. You do not have to go to the backup directory in order to restore this thing. You just have to type the command restore -f for file and backup _config, the name of the file, the name of the backup file, and that is it. Examining the backup content. Like I said, you don't have to be under var cp backup and the backups, because it's going to pull up the information. The environmental variable knows where the backup configuration is usually kept, unless otherwise you define a different location for that. Let me see the CPU utilization right now, the host computer. So it's doing something. It's examining the backup. There's a spike, and a consistent one. Now it is asking us if you want to continue, you want to quit. I'm going to just continue. Just give it a moment. There's still some spike. Yeah, there's consistent spike, man. So as you can see that we have H console, router, web, branch PC, SMS, security gateway for both headquarters and the branch offices are running, and the RAM utilization is 7.57. So in order to be able to run this lab seamlessly and without a lot of paging, the most important thing that you have to, you know, and just consider is then understand is that you have to have at least 12 gigs of RAM. This particular computer has 12 gigs of RAM. I want to add 4 more. The motherboard supports only 16, so that actually allows me to run my VMware VCP labs as well. It's going to take some time restoring the backup package. So the spike is going down, so it seems like it's about to finish. No, it's going up again. I should have just quit. Nevertheless, not a problem. Let it run in the background. Let us go to the console PC and log in here. Well, as you can see that it was able to ping the firewall. The reason why it was able to ping the firewall is because we unloaded the local policy, and the local policy also says that all the IP traffic, all the ping ICMP traffic should be denied, right? Can you see this thing? This was not working initially. Maybe it's like gone above. It was not able to ping initially, and it won't be able to ping now as well. Let me see if it's finished. Yeah, it's done. It's done. Ping 192.168.1. Oops, 1.2. Let's see. Let me show you something. Control C. Control C. Control. Yeah. If we unload the policy now, it will be able to ping the firewall. Let me just do that. FW unload local, and this should be able to ping it now. See? Local policy was disallowing access. Not a problem. Let's get back to this Edge console now. You're going to push the policy again. So we need to log into the dashboard. Type the password for the John account. The first thing that we will going to do is that we will going to define an object. Now, object is used for network, object is used for hosts and other stuff. and it's pretty common between many firewalls, right? So we're going to be defining object-oriented, firewall technology is actually pretty good because it actually allows you to define the objects, and the creation of the NAT rules and all those things are pretty seamless when you have that kind of you know that kind of technology is in place, the objects. So we have added this checkpoint. Let us open this thing and test SIG. SIG status for communicating. It says it's communicating, so it's absolutely working fine. Communication, trust is established. This is absolutely working fine. We have added this thing. Now, like I told you at the beginning of this video, that any computer can gain access to the web GUI, the internal computer, the LAN computer. So in order to be able to disallow that, we have to first make rule for the particular computer which should be allowed, right? So in checkpoint terminology, the console is actually known as the GUI client, right? So first we have to define an object for the GUI. So go to nodes and click host, right? In the host, let's type the name of headquarter, head GUI, any name, right? It should be intuitive. IP address 192.168.1.2. As you can see here, console is 192.168.1.2. It's a good practice to type this name, headquarter GUI, the GUI client. And you can define the color. It's a good thing. It's a good practice to do that. Blue means everything is fine in this case, just like green thing. Okay, so click on OK here. As you can see, that you will see that the GUI client or the host object is created. Now we have to define the internal network, this one. Okay, I'm going to come back to this office mode, right? This is for the VPN, remote access. Okay, right click on this. This is to define the network object. We are going to define the network object of the internal network. Okay, so right click on this, network, and we have to define the object for the DMZ as well, but I'm not going to talk about this thing right now. Once we have added both the firewalls, that's when I'm going to talk about the DMZ part. Okay, so let's define this. Headquarter, is HEAD quarter underscore internal. Network is 192.168.1.0. Mask is 255.255.255.0. Comment, if you want to give comment, but I think the name is good enough, and you can leave it black. Okay, and you don't have to type that at this point in time. I'm going to show it later. This is fine. Click on OK. Right, this is done. Okay, this is defined. Now let's go back to the rule base. Okay, this is the rule base. If you can scroll, you'll see all the different fields. Pretty similar to many different firewalls and even the Cisco access control list. The name, source, destination, service, action, track is for the logging purposes. Install on defines on which particular firewall you want to install it. At this point in time we only have one firewall, but once we add the second one, you'll see it will give you an option to choose from. Okay, time, when to install it, and the comment, just general comment, and this is the name of the rule. So in order to define the rules, you have to click on add rule and choose the top. Okay, by default, let me just rename it. I'm going to tell you what this thing is. Cleanup. Okay, what is cleanup? Let me just give it a cleanup rule. Cleanup is deny all, implicit deny, right? If the packet does not match any of the rules, it matches the last rule, and that is a cleanup rule, right? So that is it. Okay, and you want to log it. So policy targets, like double click on this thing, choose the gateway. As you can see that there's only one gateway out here right now. Okay, so we have to define the policy on this particular gateway only. Action is drop, and a track, you want to log in whenever the packet matches this thing, so you can choose log here. Okay, source could be anything, destination could be anything. Good thing about this R75 is just click on the small plus sign and you are presented with this menu items. This will have everything. This will also going to have the headquarter internal. Oops, I'm gonna choose any here, man. If you delete the add-on, it becomes any. Okay, so this is done, and now we are going to define the management rule. Okay, so right click on this thing. Now once since we have defined one rule, so we don't have to go back to the rule thing. We can click on the right click here, add, and above it, because the management has to be above the cleanup rule. It cannot be below the cleanup rule, otherwise every traffic will be blocked. Management rule. Okay, now here we have to add the GUI client. Where is the GUI client? This one. Okay, see how it's easy. What this rule is going to do is that it's going to allow this particular client to gain access to the firewall. Okay, so we have to, at this point in time, this particular computer has access, but along with this, the other computers who are on the same network also have the access. We do not want to do that. We only want this particular computer to have the web access to the firewall, and that's the reason why we are defining this particular rule, right? The action is accept the service. So what all service you want to add here? We want to add SSH in order to putty into this thing, and we want to allow HTTPS, and I believe this is the one. Yeah. All right. So those two things we have to do. We have to log it, and we have to define the policy target. At this point in time, we only have one firewall, so you can leave that. If you want to define this thing, then you can double click on it, and it's going to work. In order to delete that, you can just click on it and hit delete. And at this point in time, it's not going to work because it's the only one. So you want to add gateways and then delete the firewall. Now it's going to work. I'm going to just select this particular gateway and delete the gateways. We're going to do it later, no problem with that. Similarly with this one as well. Well, it depends. You want to do it like this, or you just want to leave the gateway because there's only one gateway. That's your choice completely. Now just give me one moment, please. One of the most important things that we have not defined is the destination. And the destination is what? The firewall. And in order to be able to do that, you just right click. People who would be watching this video would be going, okay, CJ has not added the firewall. Of course, I did not add the firewall. I'm so sorry about that. So, yeah, I mean, once everything is done, so you can push the policy right now. But I would like to add another rule. This is a stealth rule. Okay. Now, stealth rule should be below the management rule. And why is that is this particular rule. I'm just going to move to the top. Cut. Paste. Below. You can see how I'm trying to, cut and paste. Just type this stealth rule here. STALTH, stealth rule. Okay. So what it does is that it disallows every other computer to gain access to the firewall. Right? This is meant for the firewall, right? This is meant for every traffic. This is meant for the firewall. All the other traffic to the firewall will be disallowed, and that is the use of the stealth rule, right? So the traffic can be any. The gateway, the destination has to be the gateway. Action, service, anything, right? The action should be drop. You want to log it, you can do that like this. This is only for the gateway, not for the general traffic, right? This actually prevents the firewall from the DOS attack, denial of service. And now below this particular rule, we're going to add another rule above it, and this is for the internal network. Internal network. Just type here. Any source or this source. This source to any destination, any traffic, any service. It should be accepted, it should be tracked, and the policy target could be any firewall, and I will choose and leave it like this, no problem with that. Policy, because you only have one firewall at this point in time, so we can just leave it. Okay, so we have defined 4 rules. The management rule allows this particular computer, the GUI client, to gain access to the firewall and use on this particular port SSH and HTTPS, except stealth rule says no traffic to the firewall should be allowed. Drop. Internal network says traffic coming from the internal network or the headquarter, this one, you can just double click on this thing, it'll open up here. Going to the destination, any service, any action should be accepted, and policy target. There's only one firewall, so you can leave it like that. Now, hold on a second. In order to be able to allow the ICMP traffic, to carry out the ping test, we have to go to the the policy and global properties. Now there are some implied rules in the firewall, and I would like to show you how you can view them. Click on view, click on implied rules. See, these are default rules, these are implied rules, right? These are hidden rules. These are the ones which allow the SMS server and the security gateway to communicate with each other, and the communication between the security gateways to work, right? We don't have to tinker it. I mean, I have not come across a single instance where these rules have been modified to suit an enterprise need. I haven't come across, right? So we just leave it like this. Okay, so these are the explicitly defined rules, and those are the implied rules. Now, one of the implied rules says, if you go to policy and global properties, this is how you configure the implied rules. Like for example, I was talking about how to prepare for the checkpoint certificate. You click on the policy and global properties. You have to explore all these things, well, most of them, because these are going to, they're going to set questions on these properties. Okay, how do you enable the ICMP and all those things, right? How do you accept RIP, and how do you accept UDP domain names? And then you have to, which checkbox you have to to check, right? Where are the OPSEC properties? How do you configure the IPS under which menu and stuff? So you have to explore these features, and we're going to do that in the later videos, right? But for now, let us click on accept ICMP in the rule page, and we should also log the implied rules. This is kind of important, and this allows you to ping, right? To ping the test connectivity to on your network, because that's like ASA, the ping is disallowed. Okay, now having done this thing, you can click, we have clicked OK, and now we have to push the rules. There are two ways. You click on policy, install it, or you can click this down pointing arrow, install policy, and install it, right? Verify the rules. Management has access to everything. Stealth has stealth rule, no one has access to the firewall. Cleanup rule, that's perfectly fine. And we can click on policy targets here. Let me just put the policy target back. Okay, there's only one firewall at this point in time, and the internal network has access to everything. Okay, so you click on policy, click on install. Both your explicitly and implicitly defined rules will be part of the new firewall policy. To view the implied rules, view implied rules. We have already done that. Don't show this message again. Click on OK. This is the dialog box where you have to where you're presented to create the database revision version. Now, if you select this, if you want to go back one level and roll back to the previous version of the policy before you implemented this one, then previously there was no policy at all, and this is the new one, right? So you can click on this and then click on OK, right? This is going to create comment basic basic policy after the installation. I'm so sorry, this keyboard is way too bad. And this is the time, and click on OK. You can select this option, install on each selected gateway. So once we've added this branch gateway, you'll see the branch gateway here as well, because this is managed by the same SMS server. And then you can check and uncheck as to which particular uh, gateway you want to add. You can click on the select target, and you can filter the number of filter the security gateway you want to install the policies on, right? And install on all selected gateways. If it fails, do not install the gateway onto the same version. Alright, so click on OK here. It's going to do some checks, and first of all it's going to create the new version and back up the old one, and then it's going to carry out some checks, and then it's going to push the policy to the firewall. The version has been created. Now it's going to push the policy. So it's actually trying to push the policy. Pushing the policy to the firewall also means that there is a connectivity between the firewall and the SMS server. As you can see that everything is hunky-dory, it's working fine, and the firewall has been successfully pushed. And since it has been successfully pushed, so I will not be able to ping the firewall again, right? I won't be able to ping the firewall again. So firewall policy is blocked. So if I do the fw unload local, this is going to start working again, and that's when the firewall is at its most vulnerable stage. And now it's secured. Now I have to see if if the routing is working fine. We should be able to ping. First of all, let me see if we can ping 192.168.1.254. SMS is not able to ping. Yeah, that's so fine. That's perfectly. We have to. How about the firewall? Now we have to see if we can add the branch security gateway to the SMS server. So let's get back here. The GUI client. We've already defined the rule which says that anything from this particular network 192.168.1.0, this particular network can reach anywhere, right? And we have the rules, the static rules created in static routes created in the router as well. So let us go to the checkpoint again, security gateway and management, classic mode, name b_sg, IP address is 190, no, IP address, okay, IP address would be this one, this one, right? 223.1. Okay, 223.1. branch SG. Okay, firewall, IPsec, VPN, monitoring. You can enable these things, and hope I'm writing the right IP address. Yes, sir, I am. Now, communication. I believe I defined the same SIC. A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. And if it's fine, then it should work. Let me create a new SIC. Hold on a second. I've forgotten the SIC I defined for this particular. There's also going to be a good exercise for us to. In order to define the new SIC, we have to go to cp config, select fifth. Would you like to change the activation key? Yes. Are you sure you want to? This operation will stop all the checkpoint services. You have to understand this thing. Don't try to do this thing in a running, in a working environment. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Okay, define the A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, this is done. And it is also a good idea to restart the firewall. It's also a very good idea, so I'm going to do that as well. Although it's restarting the service, but from my personal experience, I would like to reboot the firewall. Yes, just wait for the firewall to come back to the home screen, and then we're gonna add it. Okay, it's back. So now we can go back to the H console and click on communication, type A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. Okay. B underscore SG 223. If the routing is in place, if the connectivity is there, this should be able to work. Let's see. This thing is working absolutely fine, and we have added the firewall. Perfect. This is the topology which has been pulled by the security gateway, by the SMS. Click on OK. You can name it if you want to. Topology, you have to, okay, this is done. This is fine. So we have added the branch security gateway, we have added the headquarters security gateway, and that brings us to the end of this particular video. So what we have achieved so far is that we have added this one, this side of the network, excluding the DMZ, and this side of the network excluding the DMZ. So next video I'm going to be adding the DMZ, and I'm also going to define some more rules. So it was a long video. I thank you for being so patient on this. I mean, checkpoint videos, as for the matter. All the you know uh, videos where you have to define the policies and stuff, they are actually big videos. All right, thanks a lot. Bye bye.